Hi guys, it's Kathy. So the last Kelly trial we did, I forgot to put the media request on the end. So we're going to do a quick 20-minute media request. This is the media who wants to go out to the place of the incident when the jury goes to visit. I doubt they're going to be allowed in the house. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see anything in the trial because they're not going to film. They're not going to play a film of the jury going through the house in the trial. So we're probably going to miss this whole thing. So the media request doesn't even matter to us, but it's part of it. So I'm going to play it. Just the media asking permission if anybody does. I mean, it's a 20-minute video, so somebody says something, I'm sure. Let's go. Let's go to it.
All right, we're on the record in State versus George Kelly, CR 2023-026. This is the date and time set by the court for a hearing related to media requests to be present at a possible, indeed a likely visit by the jury to the alleged crime scene. And pursuant to Arizona Supreme Court rule, I think it's 122, I scheduled a hearing for today's date. I don't see any legal representatives from any of the media, but we do have media requests from KVOA, KOLD, KGUN 9 television stations. Those are all local stations, I believe, in Tucson, as well as the Arizona Daily Star, the Epoch Times, the New York Review of Books, Univision Network, NBC Telemundo, and AZPM, which I believe is Arizona Public Media. I should note for the presence of Ms. Hunley for the state, Ms. Larkin and the defendant are present as well. And Mr. Jetty is joining by the Zoom call. In the event that we are able to achieve this visitation, and I hope we are, and we're certainly in the planning stages for it, and the expectation is we will be able to do it. But as I've said before, the process that will occur at this visitation will be as follows. It will go down, the jurors will be separately transported to the location of the Kelly's Ranch. I'll be there, counsel will be there, we'll have a clerk there, the court reporter there, the bailiff there, just to be present. The parties will have agreed on locations that the jurors are to visit. I don't know, how about counsel, how many cones or situation, points of interest do we anticipate them seeing?
I think we had 11 or 12 or something along those lines.
All right. And that's on the property itself, and then a possible visit to the border area as well, which is a separate. Okay. So the jurors will separately have a key. They'll have locations 1 through 12, and they will be walked from locations 1, 2, 3, and so forth, all the way through 12. Probably by the bailiff and the sheriff's deputy. The attorneys, myself, the parties, the defendant will be separate. We will not walk with the jurors. The jurors are just going to walk on their own, be taken from point to point to point. The jurors will not be allowed to talk. They'll not be allowed to ask questions. The lawyers will not be able to communicate with the jurors, nor will the court. They're just going to move from point of interest to point of interest until they're finished, and then they're going to get on the van and come back to the court. Videotaping of the jurors is prohibited under the law that we operate under. So that's off the table. Any media that we're allowed to go, if the court were to allow it, would not be able to go onto the property and follow the jurors and see what they're seeing, or to actually independently go see what they're seeing. They're not going to be able to videotape or take photographs because the jurors' identities must be kept private. Moreover, this is all private property. It's the Kelly's Ranch, and I think that whole property down there, if I'm not mistaken, those are all private residents. It's all private property in Keno Springs. So the court doesn't even have any authority to allow the media, to order that the media be allowed on private property. It is a court proceeding, but it's not a public courthouse the way we are here. So, I totally understand what the media's interest in this, and we've been very accommodating. In terms of the requests that the media has made for the courtroom, I've authorized everything to include able to bring laptops in the courtroom, a recording devices that produce rough transcripts, keyboards, everything that's been requested in the courtroom. The use in the courtroom by the media has been reasonable, and I think I've been very liberal, probably more liberal than most judges are under the circumstances, but I've allowed it all because I recognize the public's very strong interest in this case and the importance that we get information out there and transparency. Everything's been on the record here. I mean, I understand the public's interest and very sympathetic to it, but the value to the media of going out there, even if I were to able to allow it onto private property, which I don't think I can, but even if they were allowed to go out there, they're not going to be able to videotape or photograph anything, and they're not going to be allowed to enter the property or follow the jurors. So whatever benefit there is to the media and therefore to the public interest is very marginal. These situations are visitation to the alleged scene of the crime are really at the discretion of the trial judge. They're very unusual and very rare. I think I'm going to authorize it in this particular case. There's so much involving the terrain and the location of the various points of interest, and the parties are in agreement. Indeed, the parties jointly initiated this request that I think it's important and valuable for the jury to go out there. So we're going to do it, but you compare that.
Okay. On one hand, I feel so glad for the media. Not the media, the jury, that the lawyers are not allowed to speak at all during this visit. Because can you imagine the amount of argument they would have about the grass height everywhere? And oh my gosh, just the height of the grass alone would would be enough. They're going to argue that to death. On the flip side of that, I feel strongly that once the jury returns, the grass height is going is going to be somehow argued by both of these lawyers ad nauseum in some way, shape, or form. We'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky and I'm wrong. I'm often wrong.
Add to the really marginal value of letting the media out there to see whatever they can see. And when I look at the possible risks of having media out there and exposure of the jury and things going wrong, I'm very concerned about that. These have to be very controlled situations. If they're not tightly controlled, then we have an out-of-court experience that can cause us a problem. So I'm structuring this in a very controlled way. As I said, no talking, no contact between the lawyers and the jurors or the judge. And they're just going to walk, look, get on the van, and come home. So for all those reasons, I'm going to deny the requests. I'm sorry I have to do that. I really wish there was a way we could do that, and because I'm very much in favor of media coverage in something of such a strong public interest. But balancing out all those factors, of course, going to deny the requests. Anything else council want to add?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
You're
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
I do want to thank you. I will hear from you. The court administrator did give me your email message and those options, and I did review that. But if there's something else you want to tell me.
I just wanted to raise the suggestion
was
of just
speaking?
watching the van either leave the court complex or arrive at the ranch and leave it at that.
Oh, leaving the court complex?
Or arrive at the ranch.
Well, the problem, it's all private property out there. That's the problem. I don't control what happens on private property. If there's a way for us to kind of black out the windows of the van, something like that. I understand you want some visual, right?
And we're not talking about access to the property itself. We're talking about just on the public road, and here comes the van. That kind of thing.
Down there?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it is a public road. I think it's a private road. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a long drive. I don't know, from start to finish, what is it, 10 miles or so, maybe? About 10 miles. And it's all private property down there. So, I don't have any authority to let anybody on there or to order that anybody can get on there. If we could black out the windows to the van or something, and you want some visual video of them leaving or coming back to the courthouse, that might be possible, but really it's so marginal, the value that.
It's something that would basically allow us to write a couple of sentences saying what the jury's up to and why. And in terms of leaving the complex, we could just shoot at an angle where you don't really see the windows very well. It's going down the hill, something like that.
All right. Well, I don't have a problem with that. As long as we are able to structure it so that there is no visual of the jurors. And we might have to have somebody, if you have a camera person. Well, first of all, I'd like there to be some kind of pooling arrangement, if possible, for something like this. But if we're able to do it and kind of black out the windows or something, so there's no risk of the jurors being seen,
I haven't coordinated our pool, but I'll talk to our person at the station who has. And it's, in some ways, it's similar to the way we shoot in the school building, where you have school children who you're not supposed to show their faces. So you just shoot, carefully frame out, and you just don't see their heads.
What do you mean frame it out? What does that mean?
Sometimes you see school video and you go, why am I seeing all these sneakers? Well, it's 'cause we're shooting their feet,
Oh, okay.
that kind of.
Well, you may, and if we do that, I may have to have somebody from the court just there looking over the camera person's shoulder just to make sure no mistakes are made. So we can get back to you on that. I'm happy to try to accommodate that. And then we're talking about on the public property here at the courthouse, right?
Yes, sir. And I do want to say I appreciate all the courtesy you've extended to us in the trial and all those other ways.
You're welcome. I'm really, I'm definitely all in favor of it. There's a lot of interest in the case. It's important that public information get out there and people see directly as much as they can about what we're doing here, because I think it builds confidence in the public in the legal system. And so I try to be totally accommodating about what happens here in the courtroom, as long as it's not disruptive, which it hasn't been. So, but we'll continue to do so. So we will get back to you. I'll just see if we can, if there's something we can do, maybe just to shade those windows or position it out for you. So, and again, it'd be helpful if we allow it, if there's just one camera and you pool it so that we don't have a cluster of media out there and have to monitor everybody at once.
I'll talk to the person who coordinated that for us and all these other branches.
All right. What is that? News 4? I don't know what KO, whatever it is. I don't know. You all right? Anything you've been here the whole trial as well, I think, with just about everything. Anything else?
Yeah, part of my slight tardiness here, but yeah, we were wanting to offer a full arrangement, no visuals of the jury whatsoever. I'm not sure if there was discussions before I came in about an issue with us being on the private property.
Well, there is, because it's private property.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I don't want anyone, you're not going to be allowed out on the property. All right, that's just off the table. It's private property. It's too risky. What we're talking about here with this other channel, whatever there is, that can't keep you folks straight. Sorry.
News, whatever.
Is a possible photograph or video of the van that the
It is nice that we finally find out who this guy is. He's media. And I don't know, I'm stupid. I don't know why I thought that the media had their own separate little like balcony room, like back behind here. I don't even know. You know how in some courtrooms, right behind the gallery, there's that little special room with the little windows that the media gets to sit in. It never even crossed my mind that he was media. But it is nice to know that we finally figured out who this guy is. I wish somebody would tell us who all the rest of the people are, but no one's there to tell us. This is just a live feed.
jurors are in, leaving the courthouse to go to the property.
Yeah, I believe that would be a fair visual arrangement.
All right, as long as you could pool that together somehow, so we don't have to monitor 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different media outlets and what they're photographing. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, no issues on our end with that arrangement that could be made.
That gives you something. That gives you some kind of visual.
And actually, the layout here with the steep hill would probably help make the windows less visible. Get video of it taken out.
All right. Well, we'll try and I think we'll be able to make that happen. All right. But I think we will position somebody with them just to look over your shoulder to make sure we're good. We're 2/3 of the way through this thing and everything's gone very smoothly, and I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Sound good to you? Who else do we have out here? Yep. Yes, ma'am. I don't know.
Represent KOLD, I'm the news director. So we agree, we've been part of the pool feed and we would be able to have a single camera shooting what we are allowed to shoot.
Okay. Are you with
Other station,
The other state?
all three of us.
All three of them. Okay, very well. All right, and thank you. Then, does that sound good to you?
Yes.
All right. We have a freelance New York review of books.
Yes, I have no strong opinions about the field trip filming. I was just here to ask again about if it's possible to get a transcript of the jury selection.
I just talked about that with the court administrator. She brought that up to me again. The answer is yes. You can have a, good news and bad news, okay? Good news is yes. The bad news is you're asking for a transcript of the jury selection in the courtroom, right?
Yeah, just the entire day of March 21st
Right.
because media weren't allowed.
Love, can I just tell you that that is going to be boring, boring, boring.
Here's the problem. That has not been transcribed, right, Denise? So it has not been transcribed. Things only get transcribed when a party or the court asks for it, or usually in the event of an appeal of some sort, then the parties can ask for it, and then they pay for it, or the court pays for it. Right now, it hasn't been transcribed, and so you would have to pay for it, and it would be pretty expensive. But you can talk to the court reporter about that. But if one of the parties or the court otherwise asks for that to be transcribed and it's transcribed, then the parties of the court pay for that. And then you can buy a copy of that, which isn't that a lot less expensive, Denise? So then you just pay for a copy. But that hasn't happened yet, and I don't know if it will happen.
Okay, if I.
And that the recording, you can't have it's okay. We talked about the recording also. You can't have that because we use that with our internal camera system here, and that does show the jurors.
The transcript would be great. I have heard Ms. Lothorpe speaking to the guy from Epic Times about the transcript, so I don't know if the defense would be willing to make that.
I don't think they haven't, I don't want to ask them about that, but they haven't asked for that to be transcribed yet. I just checked with the court reporter. So she has not transcribed that. No one's requested that, right, Denise? All right, so no one's requested that part of the proceeding, the jury selection, to be transcribed. So it hasn't been done. So they don't have it either.
Okay, thank you.
But
I'm confused, very confused. I'm 100% confused on what he just said there. What? So it's not going to be transcribed at all unless someone asks for it, and then it's expensive. I thought you get transcripts of any court case, Freedom of Information Act and all that good stuff. I mean, I've heard of like defendants, they have to help pay for the transcripts and costs if they want transcriptions if they're going to appeal. I've heard of that before, but I've never heard a judge just say, no, there's no transcripts of this because no one asked for them. And if you want them, they're very expensive. Now, I know you have to pay money for transcripts if you want transcripts. I know that you have to pay for that, but I've never heard him say it's not transcribed because nobody's asked for it. And you're going to have to pay the full price of her hours to work on it. I've never heard that before. That's brand new.
if they do, and if it gets transcribed, you can pay for a copy and it's less expensive, or you'd have to pay for it yourself. And it's, how much does that run, Denise? More or less a couple grand?
No, it wouldn't be that much. It was only one full day, so less than 1,000.
One full day, 8
More or
hours,
less.
$20 an hour.
What copy? How much is it?
50 cents per page, Your Honor.
50
She
cents,
buys it from the clerk's office.
50 cents per page.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. So is it Mr. Smith? Do you want to designate a point of contact for the video thing of the jurors leaving? Want to do it through Mr. Smith, or? I just want one point of contact so we don't have to call everybody.
So far, our assistant news director, Martha Serta, has been in close touch with Paulina and coordinated the feed arrangements and so on.
All right. Well, let's count on that happening. Council, I think right now, the best time to schedule this would be Thursday afternoon. The state anticipated that its case would rest maybe Wednesday. That gives us into Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon gives us some time, internally, and you folks to get people out there to the ranch and set things up. And then we'd go take
to put it in perspective of where we are, we just did Monday. Day 9 was Monday. So Thursday is just a couple days away.
We'd, after lunch, put the jurors on the van and go out there. And then we'd have Friday for, if you have, I think you were thinking of calling Detective Ainza after that as the last witness
We were planning on finishing with Detective Ains on Wednesday, Your Honor.
on Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay. Well, how would that work out if we tentatively set it up for Thursday afternoon?
I mean,
Or we-
I think he could be subject to recall if the jurors had any questions, and they might not.
And then if the court would allow us to not close our case until after the jury view and then after Detective Ains answers any questions, the state is fine with that.
Sure, I don't have any problem with that, because they may have questions about what they saw.
I bet
We
you
could
were
try
gonna
for
ask how
Thursday
tall the
morning, but
grass
we
was.
just got to get things set up, and I think an afternoon just makes our life a little bit easier for everybody. Is that good for the Kelly family?
Yes.
You know what the problem is? The Kelly family, they don't own enough goats. Because if they had goats, I know they have the horse grazing, but they clearly need goats to graze. And then we would always know how high the grass is.
And Sunny?
Yes.
Sunny, all right.
What are they called? Like, are they pygmy goats? Like the little tiny little pygmy goats? He needs 30. 30 of those for just like around the house.
We got to get Sunny out of the way. All right.
Do you want Sunny there or not?
Oh, I don't know. Sunny wants, is Sunny an agreed point of interest?
I mean, the only issue I see is that when we were there wasn't a problem, but Sunny was not in a pasture. And so that might be an issue. with
What do you want? I
jurors.
guess the question, do you want Sunny to be wherever Sunny was alleged to be at the time of the alleged offense? Was he in a corral?
Sunny's-
He roams the whole 170 acres. I don't know where he'd be at any one point in time.
But I mean, during these events, wasn't he in the corral or something?
No, he was out in the general pasture.
I don't care one way or another if you folks want to agree.
If you want-
Anyway, you folks can decide.
Okay.
I'm fine with Sunny being there or not being there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Be an issue with the court, we could also pull this arrangement. I want to say it's Keno Springs Drive, a public roadway that leads into the driveway that they would ultimately be going down. Would it be an issue security-wise with the court? There was another photographer there seeing them arrive, again, not showing the jury, just showing this van.
See,
that the arrangement
You
is.
ski, give the inch, give the inch. First of all, I think it is all private property out there. It's a private drive, and
I would think on the public roadway, the main roadway that leads into where it becomes private, but I want to say it's Keno Springs Drive.
well, I don't know, but I would. Look, I'm trying to accommodate this. I really need to control this. I would rather that not happen. You know.
That's why I wanted to just raise it before.
No, I appreciate you doing that. First of all, I think it is all private property, private road. I mean, the state highway 82 up is public, but, well, Ms. Larkin, you can.
May I speak? 82 comes and then Keno Springs Drive, it's 82 and you turn to the right. But and as you go out to the village and then when you turn at the village to access my ranch, from that point on, it's private road. But my concern would be that if that was videoed, that would provide the public with a visual of how to get to my property, and I don't like that. So
Sir, excuse me, sir. We have said your address 30, 40 times. Not just your address. You have a couple different your property has a couple different addresses. They've all been covered publicly in a court on the news. So everybody with Google can find your place right now. So I don't know what you're worried about.
No, I understand. All right. Well, thanks for that clarification. So apparently some of it is public and then it turns private at that point. But, yeah, let's keep people off there. And we are going to have sheriff's deputies out there. And if they're out there, whether it's on that part of the public road or private road, I'm going to have them removed. All right. Because I don't want anyone hiding out or camping out on that road. I mean, you're all reputable news organizations, but you open the door to anything and anything can happen. We've really got to tightly control this. So the answer to that is I really prefer that not happen. Camp out up here, take a video of them leaving, if you want to try and catch them when they're coming back, but getting them leaving, you have some video, and that's about the best we can do. Okay?
Thanks, Rob.
All right, you're welcome. Good. All right, I'll give the file to the clerk, and we'll be back. Anything else from council? Nothing?
No, Your Honor.
Then we'll be back in session Tuesday at 8:30.
Okay, so I missed that. That was supposed to be at the end of last clip that I did, video, and it wasn't. So I'm going to put this up separately now. And while this is processing, I'm going to roll right into day 10 a.m. We're almost done. We only have a little bit more before we're done with her side. And then we get to his side of the story. Oh boy. I wonder if they're going to call Wanda up again. I hope we get to see Wanda again, guys. Anyway, thanks for coming out to the media request, which he denied, but then they're going to set it up anyway, which he allowed anyway. Thanks. Thanks for coming out. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.